Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 9th Lebanon City Council meeting. Apologize for the delay. We ran a little long on RDC tonight. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Kincaid, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. All right, next we'll move on to the roll call of members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Sure. Councilman Kincaid.
Present.
Councilman Campbell.
Here.
Councilman Jones.
Present.
Councilman Robertson.
Here.
Councilman Copeland is absent tonight. Councilman Wheat.
Present.
Councilman Fleming.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Any changes or comments concerning the minutes from our previous meeting? Okay, we entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve minutes.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those here say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. I don't believe we have Chief Smith with us here tonight, so we'll move that for another meeting. So I'll take us to old business. I don't have any old business on my agenda. Is there anything from council?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to new business then. The first item up I have is Resolution 2018-34, which is a public safety local income tax additional appropriation request. I think we have both of our chiefs here tonight. Chief Batts, would you mind stepping forward and explain what the request is from your department, and then we'll have Chief Wormuth explain for his department. And actually, you can do both the lit and also the general at the same time.
Okay. Our additional requests are $17,000 for a gear washer and dryer for Station 11. This is a industrial size washer and dryer that we use for turnout gear. $40,500 is for an air compressor for Station 11. This is to put air into our high pressure SCBA bottles. We'll be taking the older system out of Station 11, moving it to Station 12 and updating 11s. The lease payment for Engine 11, $59,209. There were some questions on the due date of the lease payment, and I spoke with Clerk Treasurer Thayer, and we decided to ask for this appropriation this year to get our lease payments back on schedule from here on out. And finally, our additional requests for fuel at $13,000. A byproduct of getting new apparatus is additional fuel costs because we have to take every driver that we have in-house and train them on the new apparatus. And then anytime we promote someone to driving status, we must clear them on each piece of equipment that we have. So we promoted 6 firefighters and cleared them to drive, and we just incur a lot of additional fuel costs with that. The fuel cost is directly related to the apparatus and not the admin vehicle. This is our diesel line. That covers all of our additional appropriation requests.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And Chief Wormuth?
I request $17,000 out of the general. We have 10 cars coming in from Enterprise, and this is to help pay for all the emergency lighting and sirens. We had most of the money. We're just falling a little short this year. We did recently turn a check in from Enterprise for $35,000. We thought that was going to be applied to the lease and to the lighting, but we're $17,000 short. And then from the lit, we're asking for $50,000. This will go for the Security Pro cameras that will cover the splash pad down at Southside Park.
And just a comment on Chief Wormuth. So there was a bit of miscommunication with Enterprise. So now they send us, they apply credit towards our bill. Unfortunately, this was our first payment we received when we traded in vehicles, and they cut us a check, which we cannot pay bills with checks we get throughout the year because they get deposited in the general fund. So really, essentially, this is, and we had counted on that credit when we factored in what the lease payments would be for the rest of the year. So that's why we're short, so to speak, on that number, even though we actually received that money into the general fund. So it's not really an additional appropriation, but it's being spent out because it's it wasn't budgeted. So that's kind of where that just happened because of a kind of a miscommunication from a credit standpoint. So
What was the $50,000 for?
For the cameras that will be in place over the splash pad and around Abner Longley Park.
Okay.
And these, I think it's also Conservation Club too, right? It's both areas?
Yes, hopefully we'll be able to cover that area. It could be more. We told them we're going to have to cap it at 50,000 and do the best you can for 50,000 is what we've told the company.
And these were, for people that weren't at the budget workshops, these were items that we pulled out of what were proposed for next year's lit budget. However, we wanted to make sure the lit budget balanced, and so we thought that these are one-time costs that we should use for cash on hand out of our current ample reserves in the public safety lit fund. So that's kind of why we're talking about this tonight. So, any further questions, comments from council?
No, sir.
Okay. This does require a public hearing, so this time I will open the public hearing on Resolution 2018-34. If you have any comments from the public, please step forward. Okay. This time I'm going to close the public hearing then on Resolution 2018-34. We'll ask again, any further comments, question, discussion from council on Resolution 2018-34?
No, sir.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion we approve Resolution 2018-34.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Resolution 2018-34 passes unanimously. We'll now bring up Resolution 2018-35. Again, the chiefs have already explained this earlier. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on Resolution 2018-35. If there's any public comment, please step forward. No sudden movements? Okay, we will close the public hearing on Resolution 2018-35. Any further discussion, comments, questions from council?
No, sir.
Okay, would entertain a motion?
Move to approve Resolution 2018-35.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Was that opposed, Mike?
No, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was
Okay.
asking who seconded it.
Oh, Morris. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So that was, that ordinance was, or resolution was passed unanimously then. Okay. Next up is Resolution 2018-37, which is the downtown Phase 2 lease rental bond approval. We do have some representatives from Umball and Creek Duval. Catherine, do you want to go first, and then we'll explain what's going on. And I'll just kind of set the stage here. Unfortunately, Kevin Krulik, our city engineer, couldn't be here with us tonight. But what this is we get in our time machine a little bit. The beginning part of this year, we voted to approve the appropriations or the bonds for our downtown project. At that time, we had hoped that we approved the three sides and as well as the Main Street reconstruction. Unfortunately, the bids came in a little higher than we had hoped at that time, so we ended up separating the project into two projects, and started with just the downtown first. So this is the Phase 2 of that project now, which is the reconstruction of Main Street, which includes the trail on the southern side of Main Street, which will then connect from the downtown to our current trailhead, which then extends further north to Thorntown. So once this project is complete, you'll be able to go from Thorntown to downtown Lebanon all on a trail. So this wanted to refresh everyone's memory on why we're talking about this tonight. So I'll turn it over to Catherine to introduce some more.
Thank you, Mayor. Catherine Finello with Creek Duval. As the mayor discussed, this is the Phase 2 of the downtown projects. We issued the bonds earlier this year in April for Phase 1. These bonds are exactly the same structure as the bonds we issued earlier this year, which is a lease rental structure, whereby the Redevelopment Commission will lease the project from the RDA, the Redevelopment Authority, and will pay the lease payments from tax increment. These payments are backed up by a special benefits tax in the event that the tax increment is not sufficient. However, from all indications, and Emma can talk about the financials, the tax increment is sufficient to pay the lease rentals. So the redevelopment statute does require that the council approve this lease before we can go forward, and so you have a resolution before you tonight, which I think is fairly short, seeking your approval of the lease rental structure.
Okay. Any questions for Catherine? Okay, I'll have Emma come up then and talk about it more.
Good evening. My name is Emma Adlam. I'm with UMBA. And as Catherine mentioned, these bonds will be payable first from tax increment from the industrial park TIF area. And if the TIF is insufficient, then these bonds will be payable from a special benefits tax levied by the Redevelopment Commission. We prepared some illustrative schedules in connection with this bond issue, in connection with the estimated project costs of $4.5 million. And with issuance costs and a debt service reserve surety policy as an additional layer of security for the bonds, the estimated par amount is approximately $4,920,000. The actual project costs, when the bids come in, that par amount will be firmed up with the bids that are received. So this schedule, if it comes up, the schedule shows the estimated project costs, and as I said, the estimated cost about $4.5 million for lease rental bonds. You cannot pay interest during construction, so you need to set aside some bond proceeds at closing to make your first couple lease rental payments until construction is complete. So you'd set aside about $200,000 for that. There is the debt service reserve surety policy for your reserve. And then there are fees for the purchaser of the bonds to place into the secondary market and for issuance costs. I'll zoom in a little bit. We've prepared an estimated amortization schedule for this bond issue, and we have structured it based around your outstanding debt service payable from the industrial park TIF area. The term is a little over 21 years, and the estimated net interest cost on this bond issue is about 3.85%. Those are just estimated interest rates, and the actual interest rates will be determined through a negotiated sale with Stifel. This is the underwriter that you worked with for your previous two bond issues. And just because of the structure of the industrial park TIF, that some portions of the area expire at different times, it's really beneficial to work with an underwriter so they can really fine-tune that structure when they get the actual interest rates so you can achieve your debt service goals. And finally, I just wanted to show you the comparison of your estimated tax increment compared to your existing outstanding obligations and the estimated lease rental payments. So as you can see, the estimated tax increment on the left, it does drop off in 2030, so that's why I said we really want to work with the underwriter to make sure that you achieve approximately level debt service coverage of, as you see on the right-hand side, of approximately 129%. So this property tax is just a backup. It's an additional layer of security. It's not estimated that you would need to use it, but it makes your bonds more marketable. So I'll take any questions if you have any.
Any questions for Emma?
No, sir.
I would also like to mention, too, the $4.5 million, that's the estimated construction. We won't really know that final number until we actually get the bids back in. And if we're hoping to time this correctly here to put these out at the end of October, which then allows us to hopefully hit the sweet spot, so to speak, for contractors lining up work for next year. So hopefully those are competitive bids. However, if it ends up being higher than what we expect, we do have options to pare down what the project would include to scale back maybe some of the decorative features or the scope of it. So those are all kind of options that we have available to us. But I just want to let you know that that $4.5 million is an estimated, but it's not the final number on that yet. So thank you, Emma. Any other questions from council?
No, sir.
Rob, do you want to hit the highlights on this resolution?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. Resolution 2018-37
is a resolution of this council approving a lease between the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority and the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. It's approving the issuance of the lease rental bonds by the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority and other matters related to it. As both Emma and Catherine indicated, the project will be leased by the authority to the commission. The lease is this particular resolution states that the lease is necessary, provides for fair and reasonable rentals of the project, and will serve the public purpose of the city. This lease rental bonds will be described as Series 2018-A Downtown Project Phase 2 bonds in the principal amount not to exceed $5,750,000 pursuant to a trust indenture for the purposes of providing the funds. The resolution states that this council finds that the execution of the lease is necessary and wise for a project that will promote economic development of the area and will serve the public purposes of the city, is in the best interest of the city, and finds that the lease rentals provided for in the lease are fair and reasonable. The financing, acquisition, and construction of the project by the authority of the leasing of the project to the commission is in the public interest of the citizens of the city, and the issuance of the authority's lease rental bonds, Series 2018-A, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $5,750,000 is hereby approved. The lease in the form presented at this meeting and the execution thereof between the authority and the commission is hereby approved, and the trust indenture in the form presented at this meeting is hereby approved.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Now that we've heard the resolution, any further discussion, questions, comments from council? Okay, this time I would open up the floor for public comment. If anyone has any questions or statements, please step forward and be heard. Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion from council, would entertain a motion. You've already done it twice tonight, Dick, so. Second for what?
Oh, we haven't had the motion? Oh, you did? Oh, okay. I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2018-37.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Mike. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you, council. All right, next item up I have here is ordinance 2018-13, which is the Elmwood Neighborhood Voluntary Annexation. I'll then come forward. We're actually not going to hear this ordinance tonight. However, there is some discussion we need to have about it. So go ahead, then.
Yeah, I just wanted to fill you in. We did notice for the first reading and public hearing tonight, so we need to be on record indicating that it's going to be continued. We were doing some cross-referencing of the petitions we received versus the legal description, realized there was one lot that actually faces on Elm Swamp Road rather than internally that wasn't included in the petition. We're actually in the process of trying to reach that property owner to bring them into the annexation petition, but we don't have that yet tonight, so we need to continue the public hearing and first reading until the next council meeting in October, in hopes of getting that petition signed before that time. So if they refuse to sign or don't choose not to sign, then we'll have to basically start over and renotice for the public hearing with the correct legal description. So at this point, we have a discrepancy between the legal description, which included the entire neighborhood, but we don't have the petition from all the property owners. So we're trying to rectify that and convince them to sign. Otherwise, we'll have to renotice with the proper legal description. I do know that you've received the bridge analysis. So, if there's any questions that I might be able to answer related to that or anything else in terms of process, I'd be happy to do that. But we will hold the public hearing and first reading next meeting.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to bring up and discuss. You should have all received an engineering assessment of the bridge. Previously, when we had gotten, I guess when Elmwood did the quote for the work, they believed it would be a $50,000 fix, so we kind of did our own analysis of that, and that's not quite what we found. So we found that there were really three alternatives. The first alternative was to do nothing. Obviously, this would cost no money. However, the engineers felt that the bridge would fail within the next 5 years. And then also alternative number 2 would be a superstructure replacement, and the estimated cost of this would be $225,000. And then the third alternative would be complete bridge replacement with a new 24-foot span, and this would be $350,000 cost there. So just wanted to, since I know we're not talking about the ordinance tonight, and we have some things to work through on that, but I wanted to have another discussion. Again, I don't really want to be talking about annexation of other communities that aren't being proposed, but would like to have a discussion about council's thoughts with this new information at hand. I will say, after we did find the length of the bridge to be 20 feet 4 inches, which we would make the argument that means it's a county bridge. So we could have a discussion about maybe there's a cost share with the county on this bridge. However, that's not, from my understanding, what their legal perspective is. But I did want to have an opportunity for discussion with council if you guys have any thoughts concerning this annexation. Now, I will say I do think that even with the cost of the bridge, I do think it's important that it's a very unique case that we have a large group of homes within our city limits that are not part of our city. I do think it's in the long-term best interest of our city if those residents are part of the city, since they've all have gone through the trouble of saying, hey, bring us into the city. I mean, I think we can work out the details on the bridge and who pays for what, but I do, in the long-term interest, I do think it's far more prudent for us to think about them as Lebanon citizens and bringing them officially into the corporate boundaries. But any discussion or opinion from council?
Well, I thought all bridges were the county's responsibility. Is there a stipulation on size?
Yeah, so based on that's what, when I first came in, we thought all bridges were county bridges as well. They would point to a statute that says everything over 20 feet is the county's responsibility. So there are a couple culverts that we have in town that we need to replace that are deemed our bridges. This is over in the over on Witt Road, in near the Victoria Drive area. There's kind of a culvert there. I think there may be one other somewhere else, but again, those are 12 feet, so those would fall under us. But again, if they're reconstructed being larger, then they would fall under the county. So again, it's a matter of legal opinion. I don't know if, Rob, if you've looked at the statute yet, but it's something I'm sure we'll have a discussion with our friends at the county about. I think there is probably it's probably worth a conversation. Maybe it's a cost share type situation. I think that may be a fair opportunity. Then I think they've kind of just fallen in kind of a limbo because it's such a small bridge serving such a small population. It probably has been overlooked from the county perspective. They may not even know it's actually their bridge. So this is probably the first analysis done on what the cost would be to replace it and actually know the details of it. So
I mean, I've been over that bridge hundreds of times, and I don't know, how could it fail? I mean, there's no truck traffic.
It's rusting out underneath. It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. The structure underneath is failing.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it's just a matter of time probably.
Okay.
So right. Now I would say, and this is where I would go to the county, is saying, hey, do you really want to have a bridge fail within your jurisdiction? Legal arguments to the side. I mean, I mean, it's definitely not our responsibility, right? The question is it Elmwood's or is it the county's? But, it's definitely not the city's.
Where does it fall at in relation to the town of Hewlin?
I believe it's all within Elmwood. It's not.
Yeah, the bridge is all within Elmwood right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
How'd you miss that one house?
Yeah,
or not you, but how was that house missed?
So the HOA had originally included all 33 lots. That included this lot on Elm Swamp Road. Really, the HOA was collecting fees to maintain the road and bridge, and so several years ago they decided mutually to remove that lot because they don't actually use the road and bridge in the neighborhood to access their property, so it didn't make sense for them to pay to plow a road that they don't use. So they were effectively removed from the HOA so they didn't have to pay for maintenance of the road. So they're not technically part of the Elmwood HOA, but they are part of the original Elmwood plat from 1941. So
Yeah, so the plat included the entire neighborhood, but the HOA was the one that gathered the signatures. Yeah.
So right now, the HOA president is working to approach the property owner. It's our understanding from a broker that's worked with them before that they don't expect that they will be against being annexed, but we just haven't made contact yet to approach them about it. So it's in the works, though.
Okay.
I have just one question. Fire Chief Batts, have you taken the truck down to the end and get back around it?
Yes, our engines weigh 25 tons, and our ladder truck weighs 30 tons. We have crossed the bridge, and we can make the turn in the cul-de-sac at the very back part of the barn. But obviously, that bridge is not rated for 30 tons.
That's what I mean. I don't know they could cross it, can it?
Not really.
Hold our breath.
That's what I figured.
Go quick.
But he did say that they can make the turn, though, which is important. I know that's something we've talked about, Keith, in our meetings.
Right, I know, that's what I'm saying, but I just know the bridge probably wouldn't hold it.
Well, I think if it's replaced, I think it'll definitely be able to hold a fire truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's replaced. But I don't want the county to pay for it.
I'm glad we took the initiative to have a study done by another firm. It's pretty much just kind of what I thought it was, but years ago, as I remember, we really never accepted it because we thought it belonged to Elmwood, as I remember, days when I was there. It is rated as a bridge. It would fit all the descriptions that the county would have to be responsible for. I truly think that's probably not our battle at this time. That's the residents' battle. I think the residents need to go talk to the county. I think the residents have a lot to stand on. I don't really believe that the county has a lot to stand on myself in basic conversations. Most taxpayers in a county are paying property taxes, and part of those property taxes go to the Kim Bridge Fund that supports bridge construction and maintenance and so forth. I think it would be awful hard for them to prove that that's not their responsibility, that bridge. So frankly, I think they should go to the county and lay that onto them and try to solve that issue before they come to us and want annexation, I mean, in my opinion. I don't think we really should get involved in it. We support them to do that.
The only thing I would say to that, though, is that if the bridge is fixed, what's their interest in joining the city?
That's true.
I would like to address that. They have approached the county. The county's position is that that is a private road, and so both road and bridges would be maintained by the private entities that are adjacent to it. So that what they're suggesting is in 1941 there wasn't an acceptance of right-of-way done by the county, and so thus it's a private road, and they're not required to maintain it because it's private.
Well,
so they absolutely have, and they've approached them several times to suggest that it's a county bridge, but that's the county's position now, is that there was not an acceptance of right-of-way, so it's a private road, not their responsibility to maintain.
I think it's a court battle between them and the county.
That's the position the county's
You know,
taking.
I know that's the position they're taking.
They're approaching us.
I know the position they're taking. I'm just saying that.
Well, and I think that's, again, and then I think it's thinking long-term of, does it make sense the fact that there's a neighborhood within our city limits that's not part of an organized other community that's just sitting there, not part of us, right? Is that the long-term? I would say trying to convince, remember how many homes is it, 25?
There's 23 homes, yeah.
Trying to, 23 families trying to go bring a legal battle over $350,000 over a bridge. I think if they're within the city, I mean, again, I think we have a better opportunity to negotiate with the county saying, hey, let's split it. It's probably an oversight on your part. Let's avoid all the legal issues here. Let's just split it down the middle, kind of 50-50 kind of deal. I still think it's in the long-term benefit to the community and to us at Lebanon to have them within the city. But
Once it's annexed, it's no longer a private road.
Yeah, we would dedicate right-of-way along with the annexation.
That private road reason would go away, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Correct.
So then it would become the county's responsibility because it's a bridge.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the county also has bridges out there on non-dedicated roadways, so do understand that. Not every county road in the county has dedicated right-of-way.
Right,
So
most people
that's
own to the center of the road, not to the.
Yeah, they don't, there's a lot of county roads out there that do not have dedicated right-of-way.
That really doesn't hold up.
Yeah, I would say most of the county roads don't have dedicated
That's what I'm
right-of-way.
saying.
Well, last I checked, there's only one lawyer sitting up here, so we can go into the nuances, but again, I think it's a more of a theoretical discussion on what the council's, if you want to say something, Brent, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with Richard in principle, but looking at the practical matter, knowing a lot of the players involved, this bridge is 70-some years old, and if you look at the engineering report, it's not very good. We need to get that fixed. So, yeah, 23 homeowners, they could take on the county, and how long would that take? A while. It's just the way the legal system works. So, I don't know that bridge has that long. So
The engineer says less than 5.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So, I agree with you, Mayor, on this one.
It probably should have a posted weight limit on it right now. Really.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Morris, any thoughts from your perspective?
I'm listening, it sounds good.
Okay. So again, mentioned we're not doing any action tonight. We've mentioned that we'll have a public hearing concerning the ordinance at our next meeting. Hopefully we have that.
We have the petition by then.
Hopefully have the petition by then. If we don't have it by then, we do have to start over because we get one continuance.
If we don't, we may have to start over and renotice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's what I had on 28-13. Next item up is 28-15, which is the 2019 Lebanon City Budget. So I'll turn it over to Clerk Treasurer there.
Okay, thank you. This is ordinance, this will be first reading for the 3 ordinances that I am about to read. The first one is for the city budget for 2019. Be it ordained and resolved by the Lebanon City Council that for the expenses of the Lebanon Civil City for the year ending December 31st, 2019, the sums herein specified hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds herein named for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. I'm going to read through, I'm going to start with the general fund, and the cost of the general fund for 2019 is $10,777,362. The rest of these that I'm going to read are separate funds, each to their own. The first one is fire pension is $313,886. Police pension, $235,798. Local road and street, $268,000. Motor vehicle highway, $1,194,014. Park and recreation, $1,353,953. Park bond, $376,581. Cume cap improvement, $63,000. Cume cap development, $475,000. Sewer bond, $563,000. It's really stormwater bond. It says sewer, excuse me. $563,419. Sanitation, $660,000. Casino riverboat, $93,551. And 2 home ruled funds is food and beverage for $500,000 and the public safety lit of $2,608,745,000 for a grand total of $19,483,309. That's the first reading.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome.
Any public comment concerning the budget? Okay. Any discussion from council?
No, sir.
Okay. With that, ordinance 2018-15, the 2019 city budget has been read on first reading. We will take that up to be read at our next meeting on October 22nd. Next up is ordinance 2018-16, which is salaries of certain employees.
Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, 2/3 of its members being present and concurring therein. The following statement of salaries is the base pay for the positions listed. Full-time employees of the City of Lebanon receive longevity pay of $75 per year for each year of service. That pay begins after the first full year of service and does not include the current year of service when calculating the amount for each employee. If that employee transfers to a vacated position, the amount of the salary would be no more than the amount listed in said ordinance, plus the longevity of the employee transferring to said vacancies. The salaries for 2019 for motor vehicle highway are $409,855. Parks Department is $589,751. Those two departments work on a 40-hour calendar, 40-hour work week. However, when extreme emergencies arise requiring the above-named employees to work for more than 40 hours per week as intended, they shall be compensated according to the Federal Labor Standards Act and the city's overtime policy. This section shall not apply to the department heads. Planning Department is $344,029. Historic Commission is $6,000. The Police Department is $2,228,500. Fire Department is $1,525,500. The Clerk Treasurer's Office is $116,321. The Mayor's Office is $37,153. Community Development is $64,156. The Engineering Department is $74,263. The annual salaries of the board members of the Board of Works is $3,600. The annual salaries of the following boards shall be, for the City Plan Commission, it's $9,600. Board of Zoning Appeals is $6,000, and Park Board is $3,600. Plan Commission, Zoning, and Park Board members are only compensated for regularly scheduled meetings they attend. And that's the end of 2018-16 for first reading.
Any public comment concerning resolution or ordinance 2018-16? Okay. Any further discussion from council?
I have one question. The last sentence you read, now how is that going to be interpreted? Because if the city cancels them, because I know we added a piece to it that they still get paid if the city itself cancels the meeting. Now, if they did not attend, no matter what, they don't get paid.
Correct. So that's so if it's a regularly scheduled meeting,
okay, so
and then
that was what it meant.
Yes, and then if it's then canceled later, then
That's
it's
fine.
yes.
As long as they cancel, not the person.
Correct. Yep. That's what we talked about last year. That's what we did.
What I mean, yeah.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
Any further discussion? Okay. Ordinance 2018-16 has been read on first reading. Now move on to ordinance 2018-17, salaries of elected officials.
Right. This is, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, 2/3 of its members being present and concurring therein. The maximum salaries of the following elected officials of the City of Lebanon beginning January 1, 2019 are as follows. Mayor, $51,766. Clerk Treasurer, $55,298. Common Council for all 7 members is $37,853, which it's 7 members at $5,407.50 per year. In addition to the funds paid by the civil city as set out in Section 2, the following elected and appointed officers to be paid from funds of the municipal utilities are as follows. Mayor, $26,866. Clerk Treasurer, $15,360. Deputy Clerk Treasurer, $26,995. This ordinance shall take effect January 1 of 2019. And that's the end of that report.
Thank you, Tanya. Any further public comment? Okay. Any comment, discussion from council?
No, sir.
Okay. That concludes first reading of ordinance 2018-17. Is there any other new business come before the council? Do you want to say something, Dan?
I would like to make a comment. We are doing the second reading for the budget in October, this year, 22nd. I actually will not be here. I'll be on orders at that point, so unable to attend. I do want to voice my support for the budget this year. I think we went through it very well, and it's where it needs to be. I'm especially excited about the increase for our public safety and the need for their increase for what they do for us. So fortunately, I will not be here, but I do want to show my support for the budget this year.
Thank you, Councilman Fleming.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, would entertain a motion concerning the claims.
Make a motion, we pay the claims.
We have a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And any announcements or discussion? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn now.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next city council meeting will be October 22nd at 7:15 p.m. Thanks for watching.
This is turning into a